It's fascinating when you start to realize how much you've already absorbed. In fact, you might notice how deeply you already understand things, perhaps without even realizing how much you've learned. It's almost as if, in some ways, you've always known that commands, those subtle suggestions, they have the power to create change, don't you think? You might even notice how powerful those commands can be when they're just gently embedded, so smoothly inside a conversation. You can almost hear it now, can't you? As if, in just the right moment, a small word, a pause, or the way something is phrased, effortlessly starts to work. And you realize that you're open to it. The truth is, you've experienced it before, right? There's a part of you that's always been responsive to suggestion, almost as if it's a natural part of how you process the world. And if you think about it, haven't you already used the power of language to influence your own thoughts, perhaps without even realizing the full impact of it? Now, imagine for a moment, just imagine, there are many layers to communication, not just the obvious ones, but also the deeper, hidden ones. Picture yourself hearing the surface conversation, but also notice the unspoken message that's embedded within it. It's like when you hear someone say, "It's interesting to see how much you can easily understand." And somewhere deep inside, it feels like a reminder, an invitation to realize how much you truly can understand with ease. And that's the power of embedded commands, giving the mind a suggestion that it chooses to receive, without effort, without struggle. In fact, you might already notice that your mind loves to learn, loves to grow, loves to adapt, easily and naturally. And as you think about this, you can begin to see how all the pieces fit together, how each word, each sentence, and each gesture could carry within it a subtle suggestion, a command that might plant itself deeply in the subconscious mind, where it's accepted so effortlessly. And just like that, you realize that change, real lasting change, can occur in the simplest ways. It doesn't have to be complicated, because sometimes the most powerful shifts are the ones that happen without force, without struggle, without even having to try. Because as you know, your mind is always at work, absorbing, integrating, and adapting. You might start to notice you can now use embedded commands with greater ease. Imagine you're speaking to someone, and you notice how every word you say, every phrase you use, can carry with it a subtle invitation to think in new ways. It could be something like, "It's amazing how easily you can begin to see new perspectives." Or, "It's fascinating how quickly your mind can adapt to these new ideas." And just like that, those words slip right in, making their way to the deepest layers of your awareness. And there's something quite empowering about that, isn't there? Because when you understand how the mind works, how it can respond to those soft suggestions, you begin to unlock an entire new world of influence. You might begin to see, the more you practice, the more you understand, the more effortless it becomes. Now there's a special way of thinking about this, and that is how embedded commands work on a deeper level of your mind, like a seed being planted. Imagine, if you will, that each time you deliver a message, whether to yourself or to another, it's like planting a seed. The soil of the subconscious mind is rich and fertile, and it naturally absorbs these commands. And just like a seed in the soil, it doesn't need to struggle to grow. With time, patience, and the right conditions, it flourishes all on its own. In fact, you might already begin to notice how much your own thoughts can evolve, how much your beliefs can shift, without even consciously trying. It's like you're beginning to understand, really understand, how easily embedded commands can reframe old patterns, bringing new insights, new understandings, new ways of seeing things. It's like how you can tell someone, "It's incredible how easily you can see new possibilities," and almost instantly, without effort, the mind opens to something fresh, something new, something that maybe wasn't even there before. Now notice how you can begin to see that embedded commands, they're not just powerful on their own. They're an art of subtlety. They work through patterns that flow naturally in conversation. And you begin to realize that patterns are everywhere. The way you breathe, the way you speak, the way your body moves. All of these things create an unconscious dialogue that reinforces your goals, your beliefs, your identity. And as you think about patterns, you can begin to see how, with each passing day, you can create more of them, more patterns of influence, more patterns of success, more patterns of change. It's almost as if now you've started to recognize the power of embedded commands. You begin to see more opportunities everywhere, more moments to influence, more moments to shape, not just your own experience, but the experience of others too. And you realize, without having to try, how easily you can begin to use these techniques, just as they've always been there, just waiting for you to notice. It's almost as if, right now, you're already beginning to see just how natural it feels to plant those suggestions in the right place at the right time. Your unconscious mind knows this, of course. It knows change doesn't need to be loud or aggressive. Change can be subtle. It can be gentle. It can be powerful. You might even begin to notice how your unconscious mind is already responding, already accepting these subtle suggestions that are being placed, almost effortlessly, into your awareness. And in a way, the more you think about this, the more you realize these commands, they aren't something to fear. They're not something to control. They're something to allow, something to invite, because at their core, they're a gift, a tool to help you to move forward in ways that are beyond what you may have consciously expected. You can now see embedded commands. They're part of the natural flow of your mind. They work with the way your mind naturally processes information. And that the more you understand this flow, the more you become attuned to it, the more you begin to trust the power of your words, your thoughts, and the commands that you're already placing inside your mind. And with this new understanding, you're already becoming more and more confident in how to use the powers to transform your life, your thinking, and your results. And of course, as you continue to experience this new understanding, you begin to realize just how effortless it is to allow these embedded commands to work for you in every conversation, in every interaction, in every moment. You might even smile as you see how easily and naturally your mind adapts, shifts, and grows, one small, subtle command at a time. And as you continue listening, your mind will begin to open more and more to these thoughts and ideas, allowing them to become a part of your natural thinking and understanding. You might even begin to notice something that's already been there, right under the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. It's as if, in this very moment, your mind is already beginning to recognize how effortlessly these commands can slip into your consciousness, like whispers carried on a gentle breeze, subtly, effortlessly, and yet profoundly transformative. And as you think about this, you might realize that sometimes the most powerful changes are the ones that happen without effort, almost as if they occur automatically, because they're meant to be. And even as you notice these shifts, you understand it's not something you have to force. No, not at all, because in truth, the power of embedded commands works with the flow of your mind, not against it. In fact, you can even begin to see how, each day, your understanding of these subtle suggestions becomes clearer. You might notice how your mind becomes more tuned to these suggestions, how it begins to expect them, how it welcomes them, easily, naturally, and automatically. The truth is, your unconscious mind is incredibly skilled at recognizing these patterns. And as you continue to explore, you might even feel a sense of fascination as you notice how these suggestions are already becoming a part of who you are. It's almost as if your mind has been waiting for you to unlock this understanding. Just like a key turning in a lock. The door opens, and inside you find an entire new world. A world where commands are not forced but invited. A world where your thoughts are already beginning to transform, without you even needing to try. You might already sense deep within. These commands, these thoughts, these new beliefs, they're already becoming ingrained in your mind. Can you feel how your mind is shifting to accommodate these ideas, naturally without resistance? It's as if every suggestion you've ever heard, every word, every phrase, has been preparing you for this moment, guiding you effortlessly towards understanding how powerful this process is. Because you already know at some level, your unconscious mind is incredibly responsive. It's responsive to patterns, to words, and to even the smallest shifts in energy. When you recognize embedded commands, they're nothing more than simple, natural suggestions. Your mind opens even more to the possibilities that are available to you. And you might even feel how easy it is to use this ability, to simply speak, to feel the effects ripple out, not only in your words that you use, but in the feelings those words carry. And it's as if, in this very moment, you're already beginning to see how much influence you have. Notice how, as you speak, the words you use take on a deeper meaning. It's almost like your mind is already beginning to filter them in such a way that each word you say is heard on multiple levels. At first you hear the surface meaning, but as you listen even more closely, you begin to hear the deeper embedded meaning, that subtle suggestion that guides the mind towards new and powerful beliefs. And isn't it fascinating how, in this very moment, your mind is already becoming aware of these layers? You can almost feel how your unconscious mind knows which words, which patterns, which commands to accept, without needing to analyze or force them. They just fit perfectly into the framework of your mind, like a puzzle piece effortlessly snapping into place. And as this process continues, you might begin to realize that change doesn't have to be dramatic, doesn't have to be loud. It can be smooth, subtle, and yet so powerful. In fact, you might already be beginning to feel how your mind is opening up to more powerful suggestions than ever before. The kind of suggestions that begin to reshape the way you see the world, the way you see yourself. Now think about how, as you continue to listen, these subtle suggestions begin to flow through you. You might notice how easily you can use them, how naturally they fit into your way of being. And you begin to see, even now, how much your mind is already beginning to work with these suggestions. It's as if every part of you understands how effective this is. You may even feel your mind becoming more and more aligned with these new, powerful beliefs, almost as if they've always been there, waiting for the right time to emerge. And now, as you think back on all of this, you might realize just how natural it is for you to embody these new ways of thinking. So much that your unconscious mind is already fully aligned with these new beliefs. Change is happening right now, and it's happening effortlessly. Every word you speak, every thought you think, every pattern you notice, it's all beginning to integrate and weave itself into your experience. And the more you think about how deeply these commands can take root, the more you can feel how your mind responds. It's almost as if your mind has been waiting for this moment, this understanding, and now it's embracing it fully. Can you sense how easy it is for your mind to accept these commands as truth? How effortless it feels for your thoughts to shift, your beliefs to adjust, and your actions to follow suit. As you notice this deeper shift, you might realize embedded commands, they're not something you have to struggle to understand. They're a part of a natural process, one that's already happening. In fact, you may begin to realize the more you embrace these subtle suggestions, the more automatic the changes become. They slip into your thoughts, your speech, your actions, and your life with a flow so natural, so easy. It feels as though you've been doing this all along. And the more you allow this process to unfold, the more powerful it becomes. You might even begin to feel an incredible sense of confidence, knowing that these commands, they're shaping your experience, guiding you, and transforming your beliefs with effortless precision. So as you continue to realize these embedded commands, they aren't just about language or even about the structure of communication. They're about connection, about understanding the flow of your mind and allowing that flow to carry you to new possibilities. You might even feel how your mind is naturally expanding with this understanding, knowing everything you need is already within you. And just like that, with every passing moment, you're more and more attuned to the incredible power of embedded commands, how they can shape, shift, and evolve your thoughts, your reality, and your life. You may begin to see how effortlessly these commands are becoming a part of you, how they're embedded deeply in your mind, ready to be activated and used with power, grace, and ease. Your unconscious mind, of course, already knows this. You don't need to try. You just know at a deeper level that these commands are already working, already making profound shifts in your thinking. And it's almost as if, right now, you've begun to embody the very essence of this process. You know how to plant the seeds of transformation in your mind, and in others' minds too. And that is the power that you have, quiet, subtle, profound, shaping your world and your experience. And now, as you continue listening, you might begin to notice how easily these words begin to sink into your mind, moving deeper into the parts of you that naturally respond to suggestion. It's almost as if you've always known how to use these techniques, like a secret part of your mind has been waiting for this very moment to open up to this new understanding. And as you realize this, you can feel your mind beginning to adapt to this new way of thinking, welcoming these ideas with a kind of quiet acceptance that feels completely natural. The truth is, there's something incredibly powerful about how naturally your mind can accept these subtle suggestions. When you consider how effortless your unconscious mind absorbs new information, you can begin to sense how deeply embedded commands are shaping the way you experience the world around you. You don't need to force this process. It's almost as though these beliefs are already ready to take root in the fertile soil of your mind. And as you think about this, perhaps you begin to realize just how powerful the smallest words can be. The words you speak, the way you phrase your sentences, the subtle pauses in your voice, they all carry a potential to influence, to suggest, to guide. In fact, every conversation you have, every interaction you experience, has the potential to embed commands that guide your thinking in new directions, helping you to grow in the ways you most desire. It's almost as if the more you learn about this process, the more effortless and automatic it becomes. Your mind, you might notice, has always had the ability, this natural ability, to notice patterns and make subtle adjustments based on the information it receives. And the beauty of embedded commands is they flow with the natural flow of communication. You might already begin to feel how effortless it is for you to think and speak in a way that invites change, transformation, and new perspectives. You've probably already noticed how, in the past, certain phrases you've heard have caused you to shift your perspective. And as you recognize this, you might start to understand how easily you can use these subtle techniques to influence your own experience. The power of embedded commands lies in their subtlety. How a simple change in phrasing, a slight shift in language can make all the difference. Consider this. Imagine someone speaking to you, and they casually mention, "It's amazing how quickly you can shift your perspective on things." And in that moment, you might feel something click inside you. It's as if you already know that the change happens just like that, easily, effortlessly, and at the right moment. The more you think about this, the more you begin to realize you've been experiencing this process your entire life, without even consciously noticing it. It's as if your mind is like a magnetic field, naturally drawn to the right suggestions at the right time. Your unconscious mind is constantly absorbing and adjusting, adapting to new information, new ways of seeing, new ways of being. And when you begin to see this, you might feel a sense of empowerment, knowing you can use this natural ability to to influence, to create, to transform your thoughts and your reality with effortless ease. And the more you let go of the need to control every detail, the more you start to realize this process unfolds naturally, just as easily as breathing. You might even feel, in this very moment, how this process is unfolding inside you. It's almost as if the commands you've already embedded are taking root, growing within you, becoming part of your subconscious thinking. You might begin to realize now how each subtle suggestion, each word, and each slight adjustment carries with it an unspoken message. And you might already feel the power in this realization. The truth is, embedded commands don't need to be loud or obvious to be effective. They work best when they flow naturally, when they become a part of everyday language, your everyday interactions. And as you recognize this, you might notice how your language is already beginning to shift. It's almost like a part of you is effortlessly guiding your speech towards those subtle command structures that influence your thinking and the thinking of others. And perhaps now, as you hear these words, you start to understand just how natural it is for you to create change. You've already been doing this. You've already been influencing your own thinking in ways that are subtle, gentle, and effective. The truth is, your mind loves to be guided. It loves to shift naturally towards more empowering beliefs, more positive perspectives, and more fulfilling experiences. And as you consider this, you realize this process is ongoing, constantly unfolding, helping you to make shifts with effortless ease. Isn't it fascinating to realize that by simply allowing yourself to speak in ways that include these embedded suggestions, you can already begin to see changes happening? It's almost as if the more you speak, the more you find your words, they're helping to shape your thinking and the thinking of others without effort, without trying, and with incredible power. And just as you notice these changes, you realize something important. The more you use these embedded commands, the more you begin to trust in their power. And this trust, you might begin to realize, becomes the very foundation of natural influence. Your mind knows exactly how to use these patterns to guide your experience, to shift your beliefs, to transform your reality. You see, your unconscious mind doesn't need to be told how to change. It simply responds. It responds to language, to patterns, to suggestions. And the more you become aware of this, the more you start to see how automatic it becomes for you to influence your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own reality with the smallest, most subtle commands. And each time you use these patterns, you'll notice how the effect deepens, how the change feels effortless, how each new belief installs itself more naturally than the last. And the beauty is, as this happens, you begin to see that change is not a struggle. It's a natural process, a process you're mastering with every word you speak, every pattern you notice, and every subtle suggestion you embed into your reality. Your mind now is beginning to recognize these new patterns, to shift and adapt effortlessly. And with each passing moment, you become more and more aligned with this natural process of change. And of course, as you continue to deepen your understanding of this process, you might begin to realize just how much more you can do with embedded commands. They aren't just about influencing your own thoughts. They're about guiding yourself, guiding others, and creating deep, lasting change in the most natural way possible. It's all happening right now, without effort, and it's something that feels completely natural to you.